Hi everyone, it's me Anna, and today's video is about all the series. I'm in the middle of part 2. So if you haven't seen part 1, go watch it and then come back and watch this one. I've actually added one more series, a duology that I completely forgot about when I was shooting part 1. But yeah, I remembered that I haven't really talked about that series, I think. Maybe I have, but just briefly, and yeah, I decided to include it in this video. And the first series we're going to talk about today is the Stonewater Kingdom duology. The first book's called The Night and the Moth. I love this book. I honestly don't remember much. I just remember the overall issue we were dealing with, but that's all I remember. I remember the main characters, but I don't remember any details. I still like this book. The first duology that I read from her was The Shepherd King. I loved that one. The Night and the Moth wasn't as good as One Dark Window, which is the first book in the Shepherd King duology, but I still liked it. It was very dreamlike, very foggy, that after reading it, you don't remember much, but you remember loving it. Like, you remember enjoying it, enjoying the journey we went on. You remember being just mesmerized by the story, but you don't remember any details. So in this book we follow a diviner who's been living in this cathedral since she was a kid. She's been serving as a diviner in exchange for this home, for this cathedral that has become her home. And one day the king and his knights arrive at this cathedral for a diviner to dream for him and foretell his future, the kingdom's future. Our main character is the one who does it. She goes underwater and starts dreaming, starts seeing all these dreams, predictions about the kingdom's future, the king's future. One day her friends, who are also diviners in this cathedral, disappear and she goes on a journey to find them. So this is very mythical. It has this gothic, mythical feeling. I don't think this magic is as unique as in One Dark Window, because in One Dark Window the magic revolves around cards, but here it's just more about like other objects. And I don't remember exactly how this magic works, but I remember that it has something to do with some, random, not really random probably, but some things, objects. Anyway, I don't think it's like the main point of the book. So that was The Night and the Moth. Like I said, I don't remember much about this book, so before reading the sequel, which I am gonna do, I'll need to do a recap, some kind of, probably read a summary of the plot of The Night and the Moth, because I don't remember anything. I remember the ending, I remember the villain of this book, the antagonist. This book also touches on themes of propaganda, but it does it in such a subtle way that you might not notice it at first, but then it kind of dawns on you. At least it was the case with me. So yeah, it was cute, it was magical, and the next book comes out this fall, so I'm looking forward to it. The next series I'm in the middle of is Gods and Monsters. I think it's called Gods and Monsters, I'm not sure, but the first book's the Book of Azrael. The series is quite long, there are 7 or 8 books, and I, for some reason, didn't know that when I read the first book. I don't know, for some reason I thought it was a trilogy. I just wasn't ready. I think this is the moment I'm actually DNFing it, because I've been thinking about the series a lot. I've been thinking whether or not I should continue, because it was all a little too messy. There were so many things happening in this book, which is a good thing. I think sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it isn't. In this book, I thought it wasn't a good thing. I wanted it to focus on something, but instead it felt like we were just going on so many quests. We were dealing with so many things at the same time, and it was all very confusing as well. There are just so many creatures, so many types of creatures. I felt like I wanted the author to pick, I don't know, just a couple of kinds and focus on them instead of just adding more and more and more to the plot. I felt like all those creatures were there with no purpose. Like, they were just there, which again, I think sometimes it's okay. Sometimes we just need some, elements for like the overall vibe, for the overall atmosphere of the story, the world building maybe. But in this book, I didn't like it for some reason. I just thought it was a little too much. I wanted less from this book, and I wanted it to focus on some certain things, I guess. Even though I thought there were too many characters, too many, I don't know, those fantasy creatures and stuff, I thought it was a little slow at points. And it ends on a cliffhanger, and the cliffhanger kind of made me think, what if I should give it a try? What if I should go on to the next book, and after reading the next book, see if I want to continue or it's just not for me. And I thought that, wow, this cliffhanger is so cool. I want to know what happens in the next book. But then I was like, well, if a book ends on a cliffhanger, even if the cliffhanger is good and it really makes you want to read the next book, doesn't mean the next book will be good. That's why I was like, well, yeah, the cliffhanger is good, and I kind of want to know what happens next, but I don't care that much. And the series is really long, and I've decided that I just don't want to get into all that. I don't want to spend so much time reading about this. Also, if you don't know what the book's about, I don't really remember much because I read this book a long time ago, so I think I'll read the premise. Many centuries ago, desperate to save her dying sister, Diana made a deal with Caden, a monster far worse than any nightmare. Locked in servitude to him, she is forced to hunt down an ancient relic held by her most dangerous enemies. After the gods' war, Samkiel, sorry if I pronounced the character's name wrong, Samkiel, I don't know, hid from everything, denying his crown and deserting his people. Now an attack on those he loves sends him back to the realm he never wished to return to and into the sights of an enemy he had hoped to forget. With every world at stake, Diana and Samkiel are forced to set aside their animosity and work together before all is lost. Yeah, another thing that I didn't like about this book. So our main character is set to find this relic, a very important book. I don't remember the goal of it all. I don't remember why we had to find that book. But I remember really disliking the fact that we didn't really focus on that book. It was the whole point of our journey, and we didn't really see why. There was just so much going on, so many things that were distracting me all the time from the point of this book, basically. And when we finally found that object, that moment, it just felt so small, and it didn't feel as important as it should have, I think. I felt like all those other things, other issues, I don't know, so much stuff going on. I felt like all those things were more important, way more important than the book. I don't know if it's just me or is it really like that, confusing? I kept getting distracted by so many other things happening in the plot. So I'm unfortunately DNF in this series. Another series I'm in the middle of is Dune, where we follow a boy who's destined to arrive to this planet called Arrakis and lead its people to a better life. I read it in April, pretty recently. I wasn't a fan of the first part of the book because it was just a little too confusing for me. It felt a little slow-paced too at points, I think, but from part 2 I started really enjoying the book. I started enjoying our journey and our characters, their minds, their thoughts, their intentions, their goals, all of that. The politics too, and I really liked a lot of things about this book. And yeah, my favorite part of this book is actually the dialogue. Some of the conversations in this book were really long and so immersive in a way, and I really like that. Really enjoyed part 2. Part 2 is my favorite in this book. Part 3 was also good. I do want to continue. I'm gonna read the next book and then we'll see. I'm not sure I want to read the entire series But yeah, we'll see how it goes. And I really want to see what the protagonist sister's arc will be in the next book. I'm super, super curious about her character and her character's arc. Very, very excited to see what it will be like in the next one. Yeah, if you want to hear more thoughts from me on this book, you can watch my April reads video. The next book, Unsteady, is the first book in this duology, and yeah, I'm not gonna continue this. When I saw this at the store and these little ice skates on the cover, I thought it would be about skating, ice skating. You know, I thought it would be more about competition in this sport. There was some ice skating, but it wasn't the point of it all. And I wanted more. I wanted more ice skating than what I actually got in this book. First of all, too much spice for me. Second of all, yeah, like I said, there wasn't much ice skating, and it was more about the relationship between these characters. And it was also more about one of our main characters' family. A lot of the plot was about her family, some problems that she had to deal with, and then her career, her personal life, a lot of other things, you know, going on in the background. I just personally thought there was too much drama for such a short book. I mean, it's not that short, it's like, no, it's actually 400 pages long, so still a lot of the drama felt unnecessary for some reason. I think I just didn't really know what this book was. I wanted it to be something else. I wanted it to be something completely different. So I guess that's a me problem, but you know, because of that, I'm not gonna continue this duology. I'm not gonna read the sequel. This was also kind of boring because of all that drama that I wasn't really invested in. I was kind of invested like at the start of the book, but in the second half, it just lost me. I was like, okay, this is not about ice skating. Like they are skaters, one of them. It just, yeah, it didn't give me what I was expecting from it. I'm just not the target audience for this book. The next series I want to talk about is the Silvercloak Saga. This is a trilogy, and the first book's called Silvercloak. I really, really loved this one. It wasn't quite a 5-star, just didn't give me this, you know, 5-star feeling. At points it felt a little cringy maybe. Maybe that's why I didn't give it 5 stars. But I rated it 4.75. So yeah, a very high rating. This is a fantasy trilogy. I liked the magic. The magic is based on pain and pleasure. To fuel yourself, to fuel your magic, you can do some things that bring you joy, some pleasant things, right? Because this magic is based on pleasure, yeah, on one hand. On the other hand, to make your magic stronger, you have to hurt yourself. That's basically how it works. There are so-called blood moons in this book and silver cloaks. Blood moons are these criminals, like they're the criminals of the city, and silver cloaks are the good guys. It's some kind of like police, I guess. So they hunt the blood moons, and like they're trying to catch them all the time and bring them to justice, because they know that the blood moons do some illegal things, but they've been getting away with it. Still, this Silvercloak Academy exists where, yeah, you can enter and study, graduate, and become one of them, become one of the Silvercloaks. So that's exactly what our main character does. Her parents were murdered by the Blood Moons a long time ago when she was a kid, and now she's determined to become a Silvercloak and avenge her parents. One day though, she's offered to become one of the Blood Moons to secretly spy on them. This was adventurous, very high stakes. There was also a lot of history about the world in general, and we didn't really explore it much, but I think we're gonna do it in the next book. There was a lot of information that just made me ask a lot of questions about this world and about its history. It ends on a cliffhanger, and I absolutely loved the cliffhanger. I loved the ending. That ending was insane. The last maybe 30-20 pages, my heart was pounding. I thought I was losing my mind. It was crazy. I loved it, and I can't wait to read the next book. So I'm definitely continuing the series. And finally, the last series I'm in the middle of is the Empyrean series, and I'm holding up Iron Flame because I don't have a physical copy of the first book, which is the Fourth Wing, but I have this one. Iron Flame, my favorite book in the series so far, by the way. Such an unpopular opinion. Unfortunately, everyone absolutely hated this book. Yeah, for a lot of reasons, I guess, but I just didn't see all those things. Maybe they just didn't bother me as much, but yeah, this is my favorite book in the series. Anyway, if you don't know what the book is about, we follow a girl who enrolls in this war college to train to become a dragon rider, help fight their enemy. So we follow this girl as she's navigating her way through a lot of different obstacles that she faces in this academy, in this war college. I didn't like the rules in this college. I thought the author wanted it to seem very brutal, and it was brutal, but I also thought it was absurd in a way. Overall, I really loved the first half of the book, not Iron Flame, but the Fourth Wing, the first book in the series. The series isn't finished, by the way. There are 3 books out. I heard that the author's planning to write 2 more. I loved the villains in these books. I just love the concept. I like what they do. I mean, obviously it's a bad thing what they do because they're villains, right? They are antagonists. I like the the idea itself, the concept. I like how they look. I love the dragons, of course. There's a whole system of how one becomes a dragon rider, how one becomes bonded with a dragon. I thought it was very high stakes, that whole process of our main character forming a bond with a dragon. Yeah, I thought the first book was a little slow-paced, to be honest. It kind of lost me by the end, but then the cliffhanger got me back into the story, and I was like, okay, I'll try and read the next book. And what do you think? I loved Iron Flame. It was just a perfect read for me. Not that it made me really emotional, but it just made me so worried and so scared for some of the characters. And the second book, Iron Flame, also ends on a cliffhanger that I absolutely loved. The third book I didn't like as much. I still enjoyed it. It was quite adventurous because we travel a lot in the third book. The thing that really annoys me in this series is how all the battles felt repetitive. There were a lot of attacks throughout those 3 books. We fought them all, but they felt the same. They all felt the same. The battles, even like the purpose of them. I didn't even get the purpose of them. Why did we keep fighting the same people in the same way for the same reason all over again? And it happened so many times. I wasn't a fan of that, but I think I want to read the next one. That was the Empyrean series. And that brings us to the end of this video. Let me know if you enjoyed it, and let me know what series you're in the middle of. And I will see you in the next video.